You finally sit down to watch the show. Not just any show, the series everyone's been talking about for 3 weeks. The one you bookmarked and saved for a moment that was actually yours. No interruptions, no guilt. Just you and the remote. And 45 minutes of something that has absolutely nothing to do with being useful. You press play. And then, somewhere around minute 12, without deciding to, without meaning to, you pause it. Not because you need water, not because your phone rang. You pause it because a small, uninvited thought just walked in and sat down next to you. Shouldn't you be doing something? So you check your email, just quickly. Then you notice a mug on the counter. You deal with the mug. Then the drawer next to the mug, the one that's been bothering you for 2 months. You deal with the drawer. And while you're there, you start thinking about that message you forgot to send. The one task still on the list. The message that would take 4 minutes, and then at least you could sit down properly. 40 minutes later, you're back on the sofa. The show is paused on the same frame. And here's the part that should be funny, but isn't. You don't feel relaxed. You feel tired, and quietly, almost imperceptibly, guilty. For the 40 minutes, yes, but also for sitting back down. Or maybe it's not a show for you. Maybe it's the book on your nightstand that's been on page 47 for 2 months. The bath you run, get into, and spend thinking about your to-do list until the water goes cold. The weekend that was supposed to be yours, and somewhere around Saturday afternoon, you started feeling vaguely guilty without being entirely sure why. If any version of this sounds familiar, stay with me, because what's happening has nothing to do with being bad at resting. Let's be clear about something before we go any further. Whatever you've been told about yourself, that you're high maintenance, that you overthink, that you just need to learn how to switch off, that is not what this is. You are not someone who can't relax. You are someone whose brain never got the memo that relaxing was allowed. There's a difference, and it matters. What's happening has a name. It has research behind it. And once you understand it, the guilt stops feeling like a personality flaw and starts feeling like exactly what it is, a pattern. One that made sense when it started, one that just never got the chance to stop. You didn't develop rest guilt because something went wrong with you. You developed it because something at some point went very right, and your brain has been running that same program ever since. Here's what's actually happening in your brain. Psychologist Christopher Hsee and his colleagues studied something called idleness aversion, the very human tendency to prefer being busy, even when being still would genuinely serve you better. In one of their studies, people were given a choice: sit quietly for 15 minutes or walk to another room to drop off a survey, a task that served almost no real purpose. And when people had even a thin justification to be busy, many chose the walk, not because the task mattered, but because their brains simply couldn't tolerate the stillness. Plain language version, your brain doesn't just like being busy, it gets genuinely uncomfortable when you're not. And here's the part that actually stings. It doesn't matter how tired you are, it doesn't matter how much you've earned the break. The moment you sit still without a reason your brain will accept, something inside you starts calculating what you could be doing instead. You're not imagining it. You're not being difficult. Your brain was taught that stillness needs a justification, and no one ever told it that simply existing is justification enough. Now let's go one layer deeper, and I promise this part is worth it. Here's what's actually underneath the guilt. At some point, maybe early, maybe slowly, maybe so gradually you didn't notice, your sense of worth got quietly tied to your output. What you produce, what you complete, what you can point to at the end of the day and say, I did that. Psychologists Jennifer Crocker and Connie Wolf called this contingent self-worth. Simple version, your value feels like it lives in what you do, not in who you are, in what you do. Which means rest isn't just rest. Rest is a threat. Because the moment you stop, even voluntarily, even for one afternoon, something in you registers it as a problem. Not a pause, a deficit, a gap where the proof used to be. That's what the guilt is actually doing. It's not punishing you for being lazy, it's trying to protect you from feeling worthless. Busyness became the evidence that you were useful, needed, worth something. Now here's the second piece, and this one lives in the body, not just the mind. If productivity has been your way of managing stress for long enough, your body starts treating doing as the off switch for discomfort. Activity equals control. Stillness equals exposure. So when you stop, your system doesn't read it as rest. It reads it as standing in the middle of an open field with nowhere to put all that internal noise. You're not bad at resting. Your body just never fully learned that stopping could be safe. Okay, let's just sit with this for a second. You had a free afternoon, an actual one, nothing on fire, no one waiting, nothing due. You pressed play, and then your brain, which is supposed to be on your side, staged a quiet little intervention. The mug needed dealing with. The drawer had opinions. There was an email that wasn't urgent, but felt urgent, because at least email has a reply button. At least reply is a thing you can do. 40 minutes of highly efficient nothing. And then you sat back down and felt guilty anyway. Your brain didn't let you rest, and then it didn't let you feel good about working either. Both exits were blocked. The audacity. Here's what nobody mentions. People who can't do nothing are usually also the people who can't fully stop when they are working. You carry the task into the sofa, and you carry the guilt into the desk. Because the problem was never the sofa, it was permission. The kind you never fully learned to give yourself. The kind your body kept waiting for anyway. Here's the part that actually matters. Nothing is wrong with you. This pattern didn't arrive from nowhere. It came from somewhere that once made complete sense, and you just never got the memo that you were allowed to leave it behind. People who feel guilty doing nothing are almost never who you'd expect. They're not the ones who do too little. They're the ones who do too much, for too long, for too many people, because at some point, they learned that effort was the thing that kept them safe, that busyness was the answer to a question they could never quite name. They show up fully. They finish what they start. They feel responsible for things that aren't even entirely theirs to carry. Sound familiar? The cost is real. You've probably never had a holiday without a quiet to-do list running in the background, never taken a sick day without calculating the catch-up, never fully sat down. Why? Because sitting down meant your output stopped, and the moment your output stopped, your sudden worth felt uncertain. So where does that leave you? Here, understanding that the guilt was never really about the sofa, it was about what the sofa represented, the moment you ran out of things to point to. But here's the thing. For people like you, learning to do nothing is the hardest, most quietly radical thing they will ever attempt. Not because they're broken, because they were taught, very thoroughly, that rest had to be earned. You were never failing at rest. The rule that said stillness needed a reason was never yours to begin with. You don't have to keep running someone else's program. If this felt like it was written specifically about you, it kind of was. This channel is where we talk about the strange little patterns we all carry around, the ones that make complete sense once someone finally names them out loud. If any part of this hit a little close to home, drop something in the comments. Even just a, "Yup, that's me." Because there's something quietly comforting in realizing how many people are out there, pause show, drawer reorganized, still not quite convinced they've earned the sofa. You're not alone in this, not even close. And if you want more conversations like this one, the kind that make you laugh a little and feel a lot less strange about yourself, subscribe. No pressure. You know where to find me.
I'll see you in the next one.